Hey, third grade, we are back and we're going to do just some health. I just kind of wanted to go through some of the manners because manners are important. So we'll just probably do a couple mannerful things a day just to kind of get through our health. So hope that you'll follow along and do that because we're going to talk about being courteous. So page 120 is where we are. Since you were very young, you have been learning that manners are important. As we read stories about the Taylor family, we will see that being courteous is always the right thing to do. So look at the little, underneath be courteous, there's a little phrase poem. Show respect and kindness to people older and wiser than you. And that's important that we show respect and kindness to everyone, and especially to those who are older and know a lot of things, and many times we forget that. Using good manners is simply treating others the way you want to be treated. It is important to learn and to practice courtesy as you grow older. 1 Peter 3:8 reminds us to be courteous. When you are courteous, you show respect to adults, to your friends, and to your family. You become more thoughtful of others. So showing courtesy is showing respect and being thoughtful. And that's something that you would want, so you should want to do it for others. Emma meets the Howards. This is politeness. Being polite means you treat other people the way that you would want to be treated. You use good manners by speaking to them kindly, making them feel welcome in your home. All of that is very, very important. Maybe you've been nervous because somebody new was coming to your home or somebody new is coming into your class and you don't know. You might not know them very well and it might be kind of scary. But then think after you got to know them, how did you feel? Well, let's find out about Emma meeting the Howards. Emma, it's almost time for our dinner guests to arrive. Have you cleaned your room and washed your face and hands? Yes, Mom, but I've never met Mr. and Mrs. Howard. It feels a little strange to eat with people I don't know. That's okay, Emma, said Mom. Dad has never met them either. Mrs. Howard works with me at the office. They have just moved from another town and don't know very many people. Dad and I want to make them feel welcome. After tonight, you will probably know a lot about them. Emma still felt funny inside. Sometimes it was hard to meet new people. But because her mother thought it was important to be friendly, Emma decided to do the same. She stood at the window and watched for the Howards to arrive. Mom finished making a salad while Dad put the vacuum cleaner away. Everyone had jobs to do so that they would all be ready on time. Emma, would you like to invite our guests inside? Dad asked. Me? She asked. She wished her older brother Andrew were home. He could do it instead. Sure, it's not hard, Dad explained. After they ring the doorbell or knock on the door, open the door, smile, and say, Hi, I'm Emma. Welcome to our home. It's just part of being friendly to others. But I'm too shy, Emma said. Will you do it this time? Dad smiled. Why don't we do it together? Emma thought that was a good idea. As soon as the Howards pulled into the driveway, Emma yelled, They're here! She and Dad stood at the door. After the doorbell rang, Dad opened the door and said, Hello, you must be the Howards. I'm Mike Taylor and this is Emma. Welcome to our home. Emma smiled up at the new faces. Dad held out his hand to shake theirs, but Emma kept her hands behind her back. Just then, Emma's mom came out of the kitchen and gave Mrs. Howard a hug. I'm so glad you could come for a visit. Emma, her mom and Dad, and Mr. and Mrs. Howard sat down in the living room for a few minutes. Dad asked Mr. Howard about their new house and about his new job. He found out that Mr. Howard liked to play golf. They decided to visit a golf course together soon. Mrs. Howard asked, Emma, what grade are you in? Emma looked at her mother, who nodded her head so that Emma would answer. I'm in 3rd grade at Valley Christian School, she answered. Emma thought she should say something else, so she added, My best friend Ava is in my class. Ava? That's you. How nice, Mrs. Howard said. She had a very kind smile. Do you and Ava spend time with each other away from school? Oh, yes, Emma said. We have sleepovers and we go to the same church. Emma was feeling better about meeting these new people. They were really nice. During the meal, Emma learned more about Mr. and Mrs. Howard. They liked to play games, and they enjoyed hiking in the mountains. When it was time for the Howards to go home, Emma was sad. Her mother had been right. Emma learned many things about Mr. and Mrs. Howard. They were not strangers anymore. Emma whispered in her dad's ear, "May I open the door for them when they leave?" Dad smiled. "Of course you may." As the Howards thanked Emma's family for the nice meal, Emma walked to the door. "Mr. Howard," Emma said as she held out her hand to shake his, "thank you for coming to our house. I hope you will come again soon." She shook Mrs. Howard's hand too. Later, when Emma was helping Mom with the dishes, she admitted that her parents had been right about the whole evening. "Next time," she said, "I will open the door and shake their hands. I'm not too shy anymore." 1 Peter 3:8 says, "Finally be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous." It is not just nice to be courteous to those around us. The Bible commands us to be courteous. This is how we show others that we are part of the family of God. The word pitiful means to be tender-hearted. So it doesn't mean to be pitiful and moping like we would think, oh, you're being pitiful. No, it means to be tender-hearted, to be caring and thinking about others. So some interesting things that Emma was able to learn about the Howards, that we could see what she felt comfortable with and what she ended up learning and how it was a very important thing. Meeting new people. Have you ever been fearful or shy around new people? Meeting new people gives you good practice in learning to be polite. Emma quickly learned that Mr. and Mrs. Howard were very nice. As she talked with them, she realized that they were not strangers anymore. And so apply it. Write 3 polite questions you could ask a guest in your house. So when somebody comes to your home, think of 3 questions that you could ask them. You don't want to ask, how old are you anyway? Do you like kids? And you don't want things like that, but think of 3 polite questions that you could ask somebody. We're going to quickly do kindness as well. Page 125. The Bible talks about kindness, Ephesians 4:32, and be ye kind. We know this one to another. Showing kindness is not always easy, but it will bring joy to you and to others. A new flower bed. Since it was Saturday, Emma and Andrew Taylor slept a little later than usual. Mom and Dad had already eaten their breakfast and started on Saturday chores together. Emma got up before her brother got dressed and ate an English muffin. Dad had the flower bed weeded and ready for Mom to plant spring flowers. "Come with me to the garden center and help pick out our new flowers," Mom suggested to Emma. "Okay," Emma said. "May I pick out a flower for my very own?" she asked as she climbed into the van and buckled herself in. "I think that would be fine," Mom said. "You may plant it in a pot or in the flower bed that Dad has cleaned out for me." At the garden center, Mom and Emma looked at all the varieties of flowers to choose from. Emma liked the petunias, especially the purple ones. Yeah, that's my girl. She knows. Mom chose pink and white petunias. "We need several trays of flowers, Emma," she said. "Let's get 2 each of the pink and white, and then you may choose a small container of purple petunias." Mom reached down to pick up the first tray. "I can help," Emma said. Mom smiled. "Thank you, Emma. If you pick up the trays and hand them to me, I will put them in the cart so they won't get damaged." So Emma picked up each tray of flowers and handed them to her mother. "I'm glad you came along to help me," Mom said. 2 people can do a job much more quickly than one. As soon as Mom and Emma got home, Andrew, who was in 5th grade, pitched in to help. Without being asked, he lifted each tray out of the van and carried them to the flower bed. "Andrew," Dad instructed, "you can dig the holes about 5 inches deep and about 10 inches apart. We will plant 4 rows of flowers." Mom and Emma handed each plant to Dad. He placed the plants into the holes that Andrew had dug. Soon all the pink and white petunias had been planted. The flower bed looked beautiful. Now there were just 2 purple petunias left. "Where should I plant them?" Emma asked. Mom started to suggest a good spot for Emma's flowers. "I believe they would be just..." But Andrew spoke up. "They don't match the others. Why did you get purple?" Dad put his hand on Andrew's shoulder. "Son," he said, "do you know that you just interrupted your mother?" Andrew looked at Mom. She was looking down at Emma, whose face showed that her feelings were hurt. Sorry, Mom. I shouldn't have talked when you were talking, and I shouldn't have said that about the flowers. Emma chose to help me this morning at the garden center. She picked her favorite flowers to plant for herself, Mom explained. They didn't need to match these, but I was about to say that I believe they would be just fine in a pot on the front porch. I'm sorry, Emma, Andrew said, and he meant it. I'll find a good pot for your flowers. It's okay, she answered. Emma planted both of the purple petunias in the pot, watered them, and found a spot on the front porch where they would get plenty of sunshine. That afternoon, Mrs. Dawson, their neighbor, saw the beautiful flower bed. She was not able to plant flowers for herself anymore. I must tell them how nice it is to look out my window and have something beautiful to see. Mrs. Dawson carefully walked up the sidewalk and onto the porch of the Taylor's home. She rang the doorbell and Emma opened it. Hello, Mrs. Dawson, Emma said. Please come in. Emma's dad stood up and said hello. He reminded Andrew to stand too. It is always polite to stand when an older person comes into the room. Mrs. Dawson smiled. Thank you for standing. It makes me feel special. Mrs. Taylor walked into the room. You are special, Mrs. Dawson. What a treat to have you stop by. I wanted to thank you for planting the beautiful flowers, Mrs. Dawson explained. I will be able to see them each time I look out my window, but I especially like the purple ones on the front porch. Suddenly, Emma had an idea. She whispered her idea to Mom, who smiled and nodded. Now, the whispering part that Emma keeps doing, that's not a great thing, but I know where she's coming from. Mrs. Dawson, Emma asked, may I carry the little pot of flowers over to your porch? Then you could have your very own purple petunias. Mrs. Dawson's face lit up with a smile. Oh, Emma, that would be wonderful. Emma had a great idea, and what was that? She was going to give her purple petunias to Mrs. Dawson, which shows extreme kindness. Proverbs 16:24, pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. We can use our words to encourage and to help others. Make sure your words are always kind so that you are showing kindness and love and help for other people. It really does make a difference. Then it says making kindness a habit. When kindness becomes a habit, it shows up in many ways. Oh, excuse me. First of all, underline the kind things that were said in the story. So go back, look through the story, underline all of the kind things that were said, that were spoken. Making kindness a habit. When kindness becomes a habit, it shows up in many ways. Emma had not planned to give her flower pot away, but she knew that it was the right thing to do. It made Emma happy to show Mrs. Dawson kindness to Mrs. Dawson. What can you do to show kindness to another person, to a neighbor, to an older person? I want you to think about this today, and I want you to think maybe this week, what can you do for somebody to show them kindness? How can you be kind to someone else? So I hope that you're learning from those things, and we're going to learn a few more tomorrow, and then the next day we'll try a couple others as well. All right, I love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you soon.